Welcome to the Woman Worriers podcast. You worry, I worry, we all do. If you're paying attention to the world today, there's a lot for women to feel worried and anxious about. As we explore the worries with curiosity and compassion, we learn to live more authentically and unleash the warrior within, someone who is strong, capable, and resilient, come what may. It's time to stop battling against yourself and start using your powers to meet everyday challenges with energy, purpose, and bravery. Now here's your host, Elizabeth Cush.
Today's episode is brought to you by 3 Invitations to Come Home to You. If you'd like to learn how to feel more at home in yourself, you can sign up for your free invitations at elizabethcushcoaching.com. Hi, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Cush, and I am a licensed clinical professional counselor working with clients in Maryland and hopefully soon in Delaware as I'm awaiting approval of licensure there. I'm also a life coach for women wherever you are. I'm excited that this new business venture allows me to work with women across the United States as well as around the world. So I'm very excited about that. And new offerings are coming soon. I'm going to be doing a deep dive, Awaken Your Wise Woman session. It's a one-off session, 90 minutes, where we will explore some of your stuck points and some of your growth points and look to how to help you move forward with both of those. So I'm excited about that, and more news will be coming for that in my newsletter as well as on Instagram. So keep an eye out there. You can follow me on Instagram, also have a presence on Facebook. And to stay in touch with the rebrand and the relaunch of the podcast, as well as get information about the coaching business, you can sign up for my newsletter at elizabethcushcoaching.com/sign up. Well, I'm very, very excited to take a break also from the podcast this summer. So this episode concludes 3 years of putting up episodes weekly, and it's a big job. And the podcast has grown and changed and shifted, and I'm very excited about the new direction and the new name. I don't have the graphics for that rebrand yet, but the new name of the podcast will be Awaken Your Wise Woman. So I'm very excited about this change, and I'm excited to share the new branding this fall. So stay tuned for that as well. But over the last 3 years, the Woman Worriers podcast has really grown. It's helped me grow as a presenter, but also just as a person, being able to show up here and be vulnerable and share my life with all of you, as well as the amazing guests that we've had over the last 3 years. So where before primarily we were focusing most of the time on anxiety, stress management, trauma, and mindfulness, I am excited that the shift will be in a positive direction, that we're going to be exploring healing for sure, because living authentically, allowing that wise woman to flourish means that we are healing, that we are on this journey of healing those wounded parts. But I really want to stress or make the podcast about finding our voices, sharing our voices, speaking up, living more fully, living our values, finding our spiritual path, finding a way to live our most authentic lives. And maybe spirituality isn't a part of that for you. It is for me. And that doesn't necessarily mean God or church or any of that. It just means tapping into, for me, the universe, the universal collective, and to feel a part of our world through nature, through relationships, through living our lives really fully. And some of the guests that I hope to bring on to the podcast with the relaunch will be talking to people who are living a spiritual life, whatever that means for them, writers, artists, women overcoming obstacles to live in a more authentic way, energy workers, healers. And so in a way, I feel like the podcast is growing up. I feel like the podcast began as a way to shine a light on all the reasons why we struggle with showing up fully, of being seen, of setting boundaries, of taking care of ourselves, to how do we put these things in place? How do we make this a part of daily life? How do we live from that healed place? Does that mean we aren't going to struggle? No, of course not. Because if you listen to the podcast, you know I still struggle with taking care of myself fully, making me a priority, really listening to what I need and not immediately taking care of others first. And setting some healthy boundaries for myself and being kind to me in the process. So you know, this is a journey for all of us. And that's what it's all about. I spoke with a client recently and we were talking about healing and the next steps and what it means to be fully healed. And we both agreed that really the healing is a lifelong journey. Of course, there will be times where we feel more grounded and present and happy, content with where we are in our lives and ourselves. And then life happens. Things show up in a way that maybe bring back some old wounds that we thought we'd healed, or wounds that we didn't even know were there, but get triggered by some or activated by something in our present lives. And that doesn't mean we failed or that we haven't moved forward. It just means that that's life. That there are times that are easy and times that are hard. And that as long as we continue to be open and curious and compassionate with ourselves, that work continues. No matter what, that work continues and we continue to move forward, even if it feels like maybe we took a step backwards. So for me, taking the summer off doesn't necessarily mean I won't be working on the podcast, because I will be continuing to do interviews and getting it ready for the fall relaunch, which I'm really excited about. And I don't have a date yet for the relaunch, so just keep your eyes out, and I'm sure I will be promoting it once it's up again. But the new name, as I said, we're shifting from the Woman Worriers podcast to the Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast. And it just feels right. It feels good. And I'm very, very excited about this next stage of the podcast. So we're not going anywhere. And all the episodes, all the Woman Worriers episodes will still be there. When you search out the Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast, the old episodes are going to come up because it's all part of the same show. So no worries there. You will get to access all of that content through the summer too. It's all going to be available. You can go to womanwarriors.com and find every single episode from 165, I think is where we're going to stop. Maybe 166, all the way back to the very first episode, where probably the sound quality is terrible because I was doing it all myself and I really didn't know what I was doing. But hey, it's getting better and better with each shift, with each year, with each episode. So I'm excited for what's to come. If you have any thoughts or ideas about what you would like to see on this new iteration of the podcast, don't hesitate to reach out. If you go to womanworriers.com, there are forms on both sites to send me an email or leave me a voicemail. That's available too. So before we wrap up this episode, I just wanted to let you all know that there is an amazing offering coming up later in July. Michelle Glass, who is the IFS practitioner who has the Daily Parts Meditation Guide, she and a colleague, Adrienne Glazer, are hosting a virtual retreat on July 24th from 12 to 4 Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I'll read you a little bit about what that is going to encompass. So Michelle sent this promotional information to me, and I just wanted to pass it on to you. Two visionaries in the IFS field, Michelle Glass and Adrienne Glazer, will lead us through a half-day meditation retreat that will engage traditional meditation practices, guided somatic IFS meditations created by Adrienne, and the Daily Parts meditation practice created by Michelle. Together, you'll experience firsthand how meditation is an essential tool for developing a more restorative and consistent self-to-part relationship. Again, that will be on Zoom, July 24th, from 12 to 4 Eastern Time. I think that if you sign up, there is a cost. If you sign up, you will get a recording of it if you can't make it for the live event. I will include a link to that retreat in the show notes, so I hope that you will check that out. It sounds amazing. I'm not sure that I can do it just with my schedule, but it really sounds great, and I hope they do it again. So I hope everybody has an amazing, amazing summer. We just heard, as I'm recording this, we just heard that everything in Maryland will be open without restriction in July. So that's super exciting. It felt a little weird. I walked into a store today I thought I'd had a mask in my bag and I didn't, but they weren't wearing masks and they were totally okay with me not wearing a mask. And I am fully vaccinated, so there's that. But still, it just felt so awkward. But I'm excited for that awkwardness to dissipate, to feel like we can engage socially without masks with less fear. So I'm excited for that too, for the summer. I hope to do some traveling. I hope that you all maybe get some time off or some time to do things that you love. So as I said, to get all the updates, sign up for my newsletter at elizabethcushcoaching.com/sign up. Or you can go to the website and fill out the form there. If you click the link to get the 3 invitations, you will also get those for free as a bonus to signing up for the newsletter. And the newsletter goes out twice a month. I may bring that back to once a month, depending on the summer, but I will also be sharing some of our past episodes that I feel like were worth potentially listening to again, and as well as updates on when the podcast will relaunch and unveiling of the new graphic, the new icon for the podcast, Awaken Your Wise Woman podcast. So I'm super excited about working with Renee Scuba again to design this new logo. So I will be super excited to share it with all of you. Have a terrific summer. Take care of yourselves. If you're interested in that single session, Awaken Your Wise Woman 90-minute work with me, reach out. There will be a link on the website soon. It's not up there yet, but you can always shoot me an email and say, hey, I want to be a part of that. Sign me up, and I will be happy to do that. Take care. Ciao for now from this Woman Worrier. This week's episode is brought to you by 3 invitations to come home to you. We all have different parts or voices we hear that can influence how we act, how we feel, and how we engage with the world. When we can get curious and learn more about all of our parts with compassion, we begin to feel more at home in ourselves. I'd like to invite you to explore some of your parts with the 3 invitations to come home to you. When you sign up, you'll gain access to the prompts that will be your guide to help you get to know you and your parts a little bit better. To get access to your prompts and find out more about working one-on-one with me, go to elizabethcushcoaching.com.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Woman Worriers podcast. The information in this podcast is not a substitute for seeking help from a licensed mental health professional. Music was written and performed by Andy Cush. If you'd like more information on this episode, you can find the show notes, the resources shared today, and links to the guest profiles at womanwarriors.com.